So hello everyone and welcome to my first video here on YouTube to share a little tip on how you can adjust the volume setting on your microphone and or background music to the broadcast standard of -24 loudness units. If you are like me and have tried to just get the right level with a slider in say OBS, but it seems that you never can get it just where you want it. This should just be a good tip for you as it was for me when I first discovered it. The easiest way to measure loudness, and by that I mean how loud your voice will be out to the viewers, it is actually to add a little plugin to OBS that is called, in my case, LoudlessAnalyzer. And we can get that from this page, link in the description down below, for free. And it is also bundled with a lot of other great plugins that we can use for our streams. But today I'm going to focus on the LoudlessAnalyzer because it's pretty easy. So we start by going to this web page, and then we click on either of these download links. I use version 12.5 here, and I have used the link from the Google Drive. So when we click on that, we come to this window, just press download, and then we should be presented that Google can't scan this for viruses because the file is 216 megabytes. I have scanned this file with both Windows Defender and Malwarebytes actually and found no problem with that. So I just went and downloaded anyway. After that, it is just to install. It's basically an exe file. So let me show you guys how this works. It looks like we need to wait a little bit for it to be finished downloading. And there it is finished downloading. So once we have it download, it should be nothing else than to just click on it, and we will get this window. And then it's basically just click next, agree, next, install. On this window, we don't need to hook off anything. Here, if nothing is selected, we can select all. Because some of the other plugins may come in handy later. And then we get to the destinations, we just put it in the default destination. And if you see this window, you don't need to clean up or anything if you haven't had earlier version already installed. Then we go over and just install it. And once it's installed, you should be presented with this window. So once that is done, we need to jump into OBS, because that is my streaming software of choice, but this will also work in other streaming softwares that support VST plugins. So once we have OBS open, if you had OBS open during the install, you may need to restart OBS, but once we have OBS up and running again, we need to click on this little cogwheel that you have next to the sound source of the microphone. So if you guys see here, I have the microphone, and then I have everything else basically that is coming into my streams. And another tip before we click on the cogwheel, just make sure that this volume control is set to 0 decibel, else it will be much quieter than it needs to be. So I'll set this to 0, and then we click on the cogwheel, and then we go down to filters here. So it's third from the bottom, because you have advanced audio properties, and filters. And then we get this window. As you can see here, I have some filters already in place. If you don't have any other filters installed already, then this list will be empty, but that's no problem. For this demonstration, we just go down to the plus sign and click on the VST2X plugin. And then we can call it whatever we want. For my sake here, I just call it VA Meter 2, because I already have one that is named VA Meter. But you can call it whatever you want. It has nothing to do for the function. just make it something that makes sense for you. Once that is done, we click in the list, and then we should see a lot of M plugins already installed. So this is the list of all the plugins we have installed. I have some more because I have some more packs installed. You should at least have all those who start with an M from this package. So what we need to find is the M LoudlessAnalyzer. And once we find that, we click on it, and then it should say M LoudlessAnalyzer in the box. And then we open the plugin interface. And then we are basically presented with this thing, this window. As you guys can see here, we have the target, we have offset, limit, and gain. And we also have a lot of other buttons, but it is basically only target, gain, and this reset button that we will have a look at. Don't click on the mode buttons up here. It's fine with the plus 18 as default. So what we basically do here is to change the target. Just double click on it. And then we can type in here -24, because that is the target that we want to adjust our voice or sound or other sound source to. Why -24? Because that is the broadcast standard for most countries. And if everyone who streams do this, then we will have basically a baseline where everyone is having basically more or less the same audio levels out, and we won't have much of streams who have either too loud or too quiet microphone levels or background levels. And that actually would be much better if we all could agree on a standard, I think. So, like I said, we say set this to -24, and then we have a lot of bars down here that starts to go up and down as we speak and don't speak. And the one that we are interested in is the integrated one, this down here. And this we want to get to as close as 0 as possible. So if you guys see here, if you keep an eye on the integrated line, as I raise this gain knob, you will see that it's getting louder and louder and louder. And now it's basically way too loud, because now we are all into the red here, and we are on positive 17, 18, up to 19. After you have changed the gain, it's a good idea to click on the Reset Now button. So you see where you are, because the integrated line will take a long time before it starts to fall, even if you are quiet for a long time. Let's adjust this way down, and let's see what happens. Let's just click on the reset again. And now you can see that we are way much more closer to the target. So goal is to get as close to 0 as possible, but as long as we are in the green zone for the integrated one, that is totally fine. So what I usually do when I test this is that I just say some lines that I usually say on stream and see how things go, and adjust after that. On this knob, on the gain knob, you can also double click and just type in the number that you want, like that. So now we have with a gain of +7 decibels, and that looks actually more better. Once you have set the level, you just need to exit out and then close. And then you can see that the volume levels are much more subtle. So now it is basically peaking a little bit up in the red zone from time to time. That is totally fine. But mostly it is in the -30 to -10 zone. And that is where we want to be. So yes, you can just adjust it with this slider too and try to get it right into here. But I really like the loudness analyzer to set my gain where I want it to be. and it also is a nice standard to follow.